What's up, everybody, and welcome to Geek Addicts. I made a new intro this time. Yay me. Hey Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I am really tired. This week was brutal.
Yeah, we're not recording in the afternoon this time.
Oh yeah, we did record in the afternoon. I forgot about that.
Oh,
Uh,
jeez. So, what's new with you this week?
yeah, not much. We just got off Memorial Day weekend, so it was a short week.
Hmm.
Um, Somehow that makes it feel longer.
Yeah,
Um,
no kidding.
and not a whole lot's gone on this week. Mostly just trying to catch up on getting back into the work grind. It's the end of the month, so all the bills are coming in, which is always fun.
Yeah, end of the month's always it's always kind of a stressful time at my work because it's when all the managers are running around like crazy trying to figure out like where all these last minute jobs are going and where they are. And I don't know. It's funny because early in the week I'll start getting a bunch of jobs that aren't due for like another 3 months or longer. And then when the end of the month comes is when I start getting all the stuff that was due at the beginning of the month. I was like, where was all of this? like,
Yeah. Yep. Now
uh,
that's basically my job just all the time because I swear everything there is always just no one knows what the fuck's going on. But
yeah. I'm actually getting like swamped right now. I have a ton of work, which is
I mean,
weird because it hasn't been like that for like a year.
that's good, I guess, in hindsight.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Uh, but
We're
yeah,
actually
aside from that, huh?
we're actually kind of light on work right now.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Well,
I mean,
you got to imagine people got plenty of a supply of golf balls while it was still cold, and now that it's warm, people are actually using them. So I'm
so
sure it'll pick up.
the golf ball part of the company is still busy as hell.
Oh,
Just for us, because we're technically a maintenance department. We're
hmm.
pretty caught up right now, so we're just kind of summers are always kind of slow for us because a lot of the stuff we need isn't necessary right now. It's usually once the fall hits that's when everything starts breaking. So
Gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha. Um, I had a question for you.
what's up?
So with Persona, the like, are there some personas that are just better than others,
Yes.
or is it like okay? Because I didn't know if like ultimately like they all have like the same potential, so to speak, or if some have better starts than others, or
Um, let's just say any chance you have to go in the velvet room and mess around with personas, always do it because you'll you're bound to always make something better. Uh, and if you screw it up, you can always bring back an old persona with the compendium, so it's not a
yeah.
huge deal.
Well, I asked because I've still been like going in and experimenting and like mixing stuff, trying to make new stuff, if for no other reason than to add more stuff to the compendium. Also to free up space when I'm full up. But like I'm at a point now, like I've had the same persona for like a while in the game, and the reason for that is because maybe it's just because I'm such a low level, like comparatively, like to somebody who's doing a new game plus or something. I can't make anything better than I have, and because I get so many what is it, Arcana cards that raise stats. I get those so constantly, and my stats are getting boosted so much that like nothing I make is going to be better than what I have.
So here's a little strat for future playthroughs and possibly still this playthrough. You want to actually make personas of all the different arcana because having high level personas of a certain arcana. So say like you have a priestess arcana, like a persona, and it's decently high leveled. You actually get a boost when you're doing like say Yukiko's social link for having
Okay.
that persona. So you actually do want to have these like a full a full selection of personas um of different arcana choices because they that helps you with the social links immensely.
Yeah, well, I try to do that anyway because I mean, maybe I just misread it, but I was under the impression that you couldn't continue a social link if you didn't have that kind of persona.
No, you can do the social links. The social links, so some of them get kind of roadblocked by like stats, like your courage isn't high enough or stuff
Yeah.
like that. The social links, none of them are really roadblocked by not having a specific. Well, some of them are. Some of them have to do with persona fusing. Like Margaret's social link is entirely based around fusing personas.
Hmm.
You can actually theoretically, if you're high enough leveled and you have enough time and patience, you can actually max Margaret's social link in one day
Oh wow.
because it doesn't require time. You do it all in the TV world, and you just basically have to go around and fuse personas. And once you fuse a persona that she wants, that's how you get the social link up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's worth doing because it unlocks a super boss at the end of the game, but it's not the easiest thing to do on your first playthrough.
I gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious because I've been using Eligor like pretty much from the beginning. Like I think I got him early on and just I think I had him specifically because he had like a higher strength than anything else I had at the time. But at this point, I've gotten so many Arcana cards that like even all of his regular stats are like normal, but like his strength and endurance are like far and above anything else that I could make or anyone else has. Like his
So
endurance, he's level 30 and his endurance is like almost 60.
so a good strat to have as well is like if you're ever going through like an old dungeon again just to like grind,
Mhm.
have like swap out your personas so you gain stat boosts on the other ones in your party just so you can get them higher levels.
That makes sense.
It don't honestly it's kind of hard a first playthrough. A second playthrough it's significantly easier because you have all your stats already maxed out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is until I am able to get a better persona, I'm just gonna stick with Eligor. But I mean, it's been going well for me, great so far.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
I
what
mean, I can't really
difficulty are you
complain.
playing, by the way?
I'm guessing normal. I don't
Normal.
remember.
Okay.
I usually do normal if like whatever the middle ground is.
Okay. That's like the safest way to play. Well, the safest way if you want to have a challenge.
Yeah, yeah. See,
Because
my games need to have at least a little challenge. It doesn't have to be like balls hard, but
well, so Persona 4 Golden's amazing because the very hard mode, the description for very hard is literally do you hate yourself?
yeah.
Which I love. I've
Mhm.
done a very hard playthrough once and it fucking sucks. Like it's not worth it.
Yeah,
Um, very easy mode is fun too because that's literally you can't lose mode.
yeah. Well, see, for me is like I wouldn't be against doing like a hard playthrough on a game, but just I have limited time to play games, so I'd rather not spend my time like struggling for however many like struggling for 2 hours to beat one boss. Like I'm not about that life. I'm not 12 anymore. I don't have the time for that shit.
Yeah, and in an Atlas game, normal mode makes you do that anyways. So
Yeah, no shit. Um, but yeah, I've actually put a decent amount of time into that game this week. I have Kanji on my team now. I booted Yosuke.
for Yosuke. Um, yeah, Kanji's a good party member. I swap him out every now and then. The only permanent party member on my team besides the main character is Yukiko, just because she's the best healer. But
I just love that Kanji just beats people with random furniture.
well, he starts with a chair, then he gets a desk, and then he gets a shield.
Oh, shield. That's lame.
Yeah,
I was hoping he would just like have a trash can or something, like just random ass shit.
yeah. Oh man.
Oh
But yeah,
well.
sneak peek for our eventual Persona 4 episode.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be little updates as we go along because it's a big game and it's a lot to do.
Yep.
But aside
Yes.
from that, uh I finished Sandland this week because the dub is done.
I gotta still do that. That was my goal for probably this weekend.
It was good. It was I don't know how far it was when you watched it, but um there's
I
some
think it
fun
was
little
like
twists in it.
I think I got like 4 episodes into the second arc.
I gotcha. I think it's only like because I think the seventh episode of the show is like half ending the first arc and half beginning the second.
I think so.
So it's like 6.5 episodes per arc.
Hmm.
And that's just it for the whole. That's just the whole show, which I'm totally fine with. Just a solid 13 episode show. It was fun.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
Um,
I've liked what I've watched so far, so I'm looking forward to finishing it.
yeah. Also, actually, right before I came over here, I showed my wife the first episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, and she seems really into it already.
Oh, I hope she's ready to be depressed.
She watched Attack on Titan. She's primed.
There, I guess.
But yeah,
Oh boy.
aside from that,
Um,
nothing too much else new this week.
yeah, I didn't do a whole lot. My copy of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door finally came in today.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was a Middle Eastern copy.
that's bizarre.
It's because Amazon is kind of shit, and like, if you buy a brand new game off Amazon, sometimes they'll just send you a European copy.
That's so weird. I've
Yeah.
actually, but I heard because a new Stephen King book dropped, I think last week, and I've been seeing a bunch of people online being like, "Hey, I pre-ordered this like months ago, and they just canceled my pre-order, refunded me because they didn't have enough stock." It's like, do they not keep track of how many pre-orders they have and make
No,
sure
they
they
don't.
have enough? Like, I mean, I
No.
got mine, so I'm satisfied. I've actually almost finished it. I'm on like the third to last story, which actually there's a couple of stories in that are really really good. There's this one called Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream, and it's about this guy who just like randomly has like a dream of him finding a body, and he has it like a couple times, and he's like, all right, I'm just gonna go to this place and just try to get it out of my head. I'm just gonna go to the place and prove to myself that it's just a dream, so I can go on with my life. And then he goes there and he's like, well, fuck, there's an actual body there. So he goes and buys like a burner phone to make an anonymous call to the police just because I guess there's like a dog eating it or something.
Hmm.
So he makes an anonymous call just so the police can pick it up and like the body could be taken care of and shit. But then like they pretty much track him down and think that he killed her. So like the whole story is like just him trying to prove his innocence and shit. It's a really good story.
Hmm.
That's where I feel like Stephen King is at his best is when he's doing like those kinds of like 200-300 page books.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, right now I'm reading it's actually a sequel to Cujo.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and it's really interesting because when I heard he was writing a sequel to Cujo, I didn't know it was going to be like a direct sequel, like based on because the title is called Rattlesnake, and obviously, like Cujo is about like a rabid animal.
Hmm.
Um, so in my mind, like I didn't think it was going to be a direct sequel. I thought it was just going to be like related to it. So like some fucked up thing was going to happen with a snake, and it was going to bite somebody, and it was going to be something similar to like going rabid. But no, it's like actually a direct sequel. It's about like the dad, but like now. So he's like in his 70s.
Hmm.
It's pretty wild.
I'll have to look into it. You know what
The
was really funny
hmm?
about what was really funny about the Middle Eastern copy though?
What's that?
It had a North American game inside.
It's so weird.
Like I got it in the mail, and at first I was confused because it didn't have an ESRB rating on it. So I was like, that's weird. Um,
Yeah.
so at first I thought it was like a bootleg or something, and then I flipped it over and it said Middle Eastern region. And I was like, that's odd. And like
Yeah.
the half the wording on the back was in English, and the other half was in another language. Um, what's funny though is I opened it up and then the ESRB logo is there, so I was like, "That's weird." So I looked into it, and I guess that's just how they sell Middle Eastern region games. They just put American like North American NSTC cards in there. I was like, "That's bizarre."
That's so weird.
So I mean, it
It's kind of like
works,
how I got.
but
It's kind of like how when I got my medieval remake for PS4, they sent me the case was Spanish. Everything was in Spanish, but the game was like when I put the game in and actually played it, it was in English.
Amazon's weird like that.
It's so bizarre. But hey, I mean, if it plays fine, then whatever. I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah. Yep. There's that. Um. Other than that, though, not much else happened this week.
Hmm. Oh. We got 15 minutes cold open. We should probably start with the topic.
Yeah, so our topic for today's episode is we were thinking about going a little different. We're not talking anime, gaming, or anything this time around. We're actually going to be talking about some American television. We're going to be talking about South Park for an episode.
Which is like pretty much the adult animation of our generation.
It
Because it
is
came
the
out like right after we were born.
late 90s, like right at the end of the 90s, I want to say.
It was, I want to say 96, 97.
Should have done my research for this. Um, let's see here. South Park first aired 1997. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's wild. I can't believe it's gone so long. I mean, I can because it's like it's always kind of current and relevant with whatever's going on in the world, but they also got away with a lot of shit.
Yeah, it is the most timeless. It's like the most timeless adult cartoon because like The Simpsons definitely has it on in terms of like length and like running time, but The Simpsons hasn't been relevant in years.
Mhm.
Family Guy's never really been relevant, honestly. Um,
Which I
King of
guess
the
kind of works in its favor in a lot of ways because it's not really like rooted in a specific time.
Yeah, King of the Hill had its run, and apparently it's coming back, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Futurama refuses to die.
Yeah, this
Um,
is like its third run, maybe
yeah,
fourth.
third reboot. But yeah, South Park has always kind of been there in the background. I can't tell you about any other adult animation because I've never watched it, but yeah,
But was South Park ever canceled like how Futurama has been? Or has
no,
it just been continuous?
South Park has never been canceled as far as I know.
I guess that would make sense because
I mean,
I
Matt and
remember.
Trey tried to get it canceled once.
Yeah, well,
Once
apparently
they,
that's just not happening.
well, you remember that when like they were making fun of cancel culture, so they just made that petition online, cancel South Park.
Yeah. Well, I think by that point they just knew, like, we've gone through decades of going as far as we possibly can, and nothing has worked. So I think at this point we're just good. We could just say whatever, and everyone's just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's South Park at it again."
Well, what amazes me about South Park is it is literally since its inception pretty much been the same two guys. Like obviously they have more guys working for them, but it's always been Matt Stone and Trey Parker,
Yeah, I feel like the only way South Park will ever die is if one of them dies. Honestly.
or just doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you keep it going for almost 30 years and you still got ideas, you still have, plenty of motivation. Like, I feel like it's not going to dry up anytime soon after that long.
Plus, they do pretty much all the voices. I mean, there's obvious exceptions, like obviously the female voices are all different. Uh, Isaac Hayes was there for a while.
Yeah,
We'll get to that later.
for a bit.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Like it's funny looking at the old episodes, like where they actually were all like papercraft animated, and then you look at the modern ones that are all digitally done now.
Yeah, it's wild to see, honestly.
Like
It's
I
kind of
still
like this is kind of like if this was made like 10 years later, it would have been like a YouTube internet show or like Newgrounds or something.
so, yeah, kind of. It's really funny. Like you go back and watch like the pilot episode, Cartman gets an anal probe, and it's like it is weird to watch because it looks so different from what the show
Oh
is
yeah,
now.
big time. Big time. Especially since like they don't even really do like the "oh, you killed Kenny" thing anymore. But they did it like
So
when you go back and watch the old episodes, it's like literally every episode.
I guess well, we're not gonna do a full retrospective where we go throughout season to season. We're gonna kind of jump around, kind of like we've
Just
done
too
with
much.
some of our other retrospectives. But I want to start with Kenny because Kenny is to me one of the most interesting characters on the show, just because they have literally done everything with him.
Oh yeah.
Like he started off as legitimately a one joke pony, where like the entire joke was he just died every episode.
Mhm.
and would come back and no one would question it. Then they straight up just killed him for an entire season.
Yeah, they gave him like leukemia or some shit.
Yeah, and he just like the episode Kenny dies. He just dies, and like straight up an entire season, he's just dead. And then he comes back and literally the last episode, and his response is literally, "Oh hi guys," and they're like, "Oh hey Kenny, where have you been?" Then they stopped killing him every episode, and they would only kill him when it was funny. Um, and then they made it an actual continuity thing where like he literally can't die. Like his
Yeah,
entire
well,
he's like a
Mysterion.
superhero. Yeah, Mysterion.
Yeah,
His every time he dies, his mom just gives birth to another Kenny, and it's just a
that's
never-ending cycle.
when I saw it the first time, like my jaw hit the floor. I was like, "What the fuck?"
We should say like every episode. Massive spoiler warning for anyone that hasn't seen that at this point. I mean, I think most people know by now, but
I think if you haven't watched South Park at this point, like, what are you doing with your life?
yeah, at least seen an episode here or there. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kenny's a funny one where it's like he's like the perfect example of the long running joke where like they ran it into the ground and just completely changed it to something else and just made it. They basically became self aware with it, which is just funny.
and I love that Kenny has like some of the funniest lines, but you can only really tell what he's saying if you're really, really listening.
Yeah, he's only really shown his like face like a few times in the show, like famously in the movie when his final line in the movie is just saying "Bye guys," and he was voiced by Mike Judge, the creator of King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead, which is really funny in hindsight.
That is wicked funny.
Um, yeah, Kenny's a great one.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is when they did the whole Mysterion thing with the Coon episodes, and they did the whole like, oh, I'm gonna reveal who I really am or whatever, and he just like like moves his mask over, but
Yeah,
it's just the cutout face for everybody has in South Park. So
yeah.
everyone's just like, oh, but you don't actually know who it is until the later ones.
Well, they trick you at the end of the episode because they make you think it's Kyle, and then Mysterion actually shows up and he goes, "Hey, thanks for taking the fall for me," and it's like,
Yeah,
what?
it's
Um,
super funny.
yeah, they don't really even reveal it right away until he actually like shows his whole like death thing, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, with the Cthulhu stuff.
Yeah, they got really deep with that.
Mhm.
I've actually been replaying South Park: The Fractured Butthole like recently, and like that game is still like an A plus to me.
Maybe I need to get back to that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll switch between that and Persona. That'll be like my more casual, just chilling out game.
Mm. So
I
going,
can't play that one around the kiddies though.
yeah, especially that one. Um, so I have to say, watching South Park on like HBO Max or like the DVDs is really funny to me because it's uncensored
Oh yeah.
and it's well they just drop all the f bombs and stuff. And in one of the most recent specials, they did a special called "Not Suitable for Children," and
Mhm.
it's mostly making fun of like OnlyFans and like Prime Energy drink and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Um, but in the episode, Randy wants to become a an OnlyFans model. So he's literally the entire episode not wearing pants, and it's just straight up dong everywhere. Like it's like Jesus, you can't watch this shit with
Oh
children around.
man. Yeah, I'm not like current. Um I know I caught up at one point. I know I at least saw as far as Mr. Garrison becoming president.
Yeah, that was an
Um
arc.
and then after that, like I had seen like the next few arcs after that and some of the specials, but I couldn't tell you like because they've done a lot of specials and stuff in the past few years, and I definitely haven't seen them all.
So
And I
the
think they did
show
a season at one point.
they've
I
done
don't think I watched that.
so since the pandemic. Well, so the pandemic special and the vaccination special are considered season 24.
Mhm.
Um, and then they've since done season 25 and 26, which are both 6 episode seasons.
Okay.
And then they do like two specials in between each season, which has been nice. You're getting a bunch of content. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I'm behind at least a couple of the specials for
I will
sure.
say season 25 and 26 are really good. Like they have really kind of found themselves again.
I'll have to watch some of that this weekend.
Yeah. Um, that being said, though, going back to some of the characters, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about quite possibly the most infamous character on this show, Eric Cartman.
Yeah, and he kind of like jumped the shark with his fucked upness like pretty early with the Scott Tenorman episode.
Yeah, that one's dark as fuck, especially the reveal that you find out later that he's actually his half brother, which is
Yeah,
bizarre.
he actually fed his own father to his half brother.
And he wasn't even upset about it. He was just upset that his dad was a ginger.
Oh
Oh boy.
god. Which is even funnier because the episode, I think it was earlier on when they snuck into Cartman's bedroom to like dye his hair and like give
Oh
him
yeah, they
freckles,
turned him into a
like made him
ginger.
a ginger. Then he like rose up as like Ginger Hitler.
Yep, he sure did. Yeah. So
Wouldn't be the first Hitler joke with Cartman.
there's one in season 26. Yeah. So Cartman is literally like he's supposed to be kind of like the epitome of like having a bad opinion just about everything.
Mhm.
Because like literally all of his takes are terrible, and I think that's kind of the joke. Because like he's meant to be just this awful character.
Yeah, he's the guy they put there specifically for you to hate, but you also kind of love him because he's fucking hysterical.
You love him for his antics, but you also you just want him to fucking get it because he never gets what's coming to him, except for the one time that he did, which is still my favorite episode of the series ever, and that is the breast cancer show ever.
Oh, when Wendy kicks his ass,
Yeah, where Wendy gets so fed up with him, she just beats the ever loving shit out of him, and
that
it
was
is the most
fantastic.
satisfying ending to that episode because it's like he had it coming, and she finally just said "fuck it" and just beat the ever loving shit out of him.
Yeah. It's always funny too whenever like, he's just being a little shit and one of them will just pop him one and it won't even be like a serious like punch. It'll just be like a little, and he'll just be like, ow, ow. He'll just start crying.
Yeah, yeah, man. Um, yeah. So Cartman's had his ups and downs over the years. Trying to think another character. I mean, obviously you got Stan and Kyle, and so Stan and Kyle are basically just like self inserts for Madden Madden Trey
Yeah. And they
because
get they get paired together like constantly.
I believe Kyle is supposed to be Matt Stone and Trey is supposed to be or Stan is supposed to be Trey Parker.
Hmm.
They're little inserts. They've had some interesting character arcs as well over the years. Like I
Yeah,
still
like
remember
hmm?
the Jersey episode.
Oh god. I love that one.
So
That was
many things
hilarious.
happen in that episode.
Yeah.
They did
Um,
they did the cast of Jersey Shore very dirty in that episode, which is kind of funny.
well, I mean to be fair, they do everybody pretty dirty. So they're
They did
equal they're equal opportunists when it comes to that kind of thing.
they did Snooky incredibly dirty because she was
Yeah.
like that deformed like rabbit creature.
Yeah, it was goofy as fuck.
Anytime
Um,
Alex is because Alex likes to watch Jersey Shore, unironically.
mhm.
Anytime she's watching it, I'll always like walk by her and I'll just say, I'll just go, Snooky goes smush smush. And then she just looks at me and goes, he goes, I fucking hate that episode.
I bet.
Oh man.
And then there's also the one of the big Stan episodes when he has a birthday and all of a sudden everything seems like shit to him.
Oh yeah, you're getting
He
old
becomes an
and
alcoholic.
Asperger's. Yeah, that's the episode that ends with like Randy and Sharon getting a divorce and like them moving out of South Park, and then it just all gets fixed by the next episode.
Yep. And he's just like Stan's just taking nips out of his dresser by the end of it. And it's just like, yep, that's how I'm getting through my life.
I'll always remember that episode. I also always remember the episode where Clyde leaves the toilet seat up and it kills his mom.
Oh god, I forgot about that one.
And then they turn like all the bathrooms into like the TSA where like you have to like make sure you're strapped in, and
Hmm.
then it ends with like the episode going, "You guys are using it wrong. You're supposed to sit on it this way and then use the back as a little desk for your drink."
Because Butters had been doing that the whole time.
Yeah,
It's super
but
funny.
Butters is a great character too.
Butters is probably one of my absolute favorite characters in that show.
He is like, you just feel bad for him with all the fucking shit he goes through.
Mm-hmm.
But
The Lord of the Rings episode with Butters is fucking hilarious.
my favorite Butters episode is Butters Bottom Bitch, where he becomes a pimp.
Yes.
And
Butters Kissing Company.
I love the fact too, where like he's trying to explain to Kyle like what like why he's making a kissing company, and he's just like, Kyle, you don't get it. You see, when you're in love with a girl, you end up when you're with a girl, when you have a girlfriend, it's like you end up paying for it in the long run. Like, look at Stan over there. He's got to listen to all her motherfucking problems just because she kisses him. And it just shows Wendy just yelling at Stan running around like, and it's just like, I love shit like that.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Oh man.
Then it's like one of the many occasions that show Butters is a really good like entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, I mean, until he starts trying to sell NFTs.
Yes, that does happen in a bad future. um,
But yeah, I don't know. Wasn't there one where he was like obsessed with Kim Kardashian or something?
oh yeah, the tale of Scrody McBoogerballs, where he
Yes.
the kids write the awful the most disgusting novel ever, and it's so disgusting that the parents all think it's like fine art.
Yeah.
Um, and Butters takes advantage and like basically pretends to be the writer, and then like,
Well, I think they blamed it on him because they thought they were gonna get in trouble.
well, yeah, and then he took advantage and like went with it and got all this praise, and then he ended up writing a sequel called "The Poop That Took a Pee," and it was so bad that it caused a shooter to go and kill the Kardashians. So it was such
Oh
a
yeah, because he read the Catching the Ride. He was like, "Kill John Lennon."
yeah, it was such a bizarre episode. Oh boy,
I actually
do you
read that book
remember?
earlier this year.
It's a good book. It's dark, but it's a good book.
Yeah,
Um, do you remember the World of Warcraft episode?
that's one of the best ones
Make
for
love,
sure.
not not Warcraft.
That's a top 10 episode right there.
Did you know Trey Parker wanted it to be scrapped? Like he was so afraid that it was going to bomb, and it ended up being like arguably the most famous episode in the series.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's wild to me. Like, why wouldn't I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird.
I mean, it was a very ambitious episode, and it was a risk. I will agree with that. It's just it's funny to me how in hindsight that episode is actually very like kind of realistic. Like I love the whole thing where it's like they must obtain no life to win.
Yeah, they must have absolutely no life.
And then they all just become these fucking gargantuan blobs.
I quote Cartman in that from that episode like all the time. Just be like, I'll just be chilling out like playing video games, and I'll just be like, "Man, where are head packets?"
Yeah, I always think of the line where he's like, "Mom," no, he's like,
Bathroom?
"Oh." No, he's like, "Oh shit, you gotta have diarrhea." Mom, bathroom, and just the
Bathroom.
bucket. Just
I do that one too.
Another iconic episode is the one with where all the KFCs get outlawed and replaced with medicinal marijuana establishments.
Yes, medicinal
and,
fried chicken.
and Randy, in one of his schemes to get high, gives himself cancer in the balls, and then they start bouncing around on their fucking sacks everywhere.
Like fucking hippity hops.
That is such an unsettling like image to watch, and I'm always like, oh my god.
I couldn't tell you how many times, like back in the day, where it'd just be like hanging out with some friends and we'd just be getting absolute lit watching that episode, and we'd all just be dying laughing. Like,
I just love the fact too that there's like a B plot with Cartman trying to find KFC.
I actually
like,
do that every time I get KFC. I'll always taste the gravy. Be like, "This is bucket my what was it? Boston Market?
yeah,
Is it KFC gravy?"
that was a good one. Another great Cartman episode. Do you remember the episode where they discover that shoving food up their ass and shitting out their mouth?
Yes. Oh my god.
I love that one because it's like Cartman's like he does it the first time, and like the second the shit comes out his mouth, I think it's Kyle's just like, get the fuck out of my house right now.
They're all just like, holy shit. Like,
And then it becomes like a news thing where it's like, this is actually the proper way to eat now. It's like what?
Yep. Like they were all, I think that was around that time when they were what was it, Kyle's family moved to was like San Diego or San Francisco or something like that. And like they were all just having like a little house party and they each had like a little waste basket they would just eventually like occasionally vomit poop into.
Yeah, like I love there's a scene where like Randy's talking to some guy and he's like, "Oh, excuse me for a moment." He just shoves a fucking sandwich up his ass and then just like coughs out a fucking turd. And it's like, what the fuck?
For real.
Oh boy.
Wild. Some of the stuff they come up with that one. Like the biggest shit episode.
Oh yeah, and it's like Bono, you are the biggest shit.
Like I swear to God, Randy Marsh is like the main character of that show.
He's been the main character lately. I swear.
Like for a while now.
Ever since Tegrity Farms, he's really been the main character.
I mean, even before that, he's had a lot of episodes where like he may not like be the only one on screen doing shit, but he's heavily involved in everything that's going on. Even the World of Warcraft one
Oh yeah, he shows up.
with the Sword of a Thousand Truths.
Yep, and then gets murdered.
Mhm.
Um, another great Randy episode is Cock Magic,
Yes, I forgot about
where
that.
he completely misunderstands what the kids are talking about and starts doing all this ridiculous shit.
Yep. Yeah, God. Did you ever see those like videos on YouTube of the people using like South Park soundboards to do prank calls?
Yeah, shit's
That is
great.
so funny. So funny, especially the Randy ones.
Well, I remember the one where Randy discovers the Broadway musicals, and he discovers how
Yes.
it makes all the ladies want to give them blowjobs. And there's the B plot where Shelly gets the boyfriend, and then like they go to the Broadway musical, and Randy's like, "No, she's too young," and then he dresses up as Spider Man and
Yep.
kills her boyfriend, and like he's like, "Shelly, I'm sorry, Spider Man killed your boyfriend." And then,
Oh God. Like yeah,
another
there's just so many good episodes.
oh, yeah, another favorite of mine is You Have Zero Friends, which is the one that just makes fun of Facebook.
Yep.
Where it's like all of them are obsessed with Facebook and Stan wants nothing to do with it, but they make him one
Mhm.
anyways, and it's like he's being just harassed by Facebook.
Yep.
Like Wendy chases him down and she's like, relationship status single. Am I a joke to you? she the entire episode he's like, fuck this shit, and then he gets sucked into Facebook and he's like, his response is great. He's like, God damn it, I didn't want to get sucked into Facebook.
Oh man. What was your first episode that you remember watching?
Oh god, what was it? This is tough because there's so many from back then. Oh, it's actually the one where Trapper Keeper. That was the first one I remember.
Oh really?
Which is a
Is that
fucking
the one with
Akira.
is that the one with Barbara Streisand?
No, that was a different episode. Trapper Keeper was the one that's like an Akira parody where it's an Akira parody. It also is the 2000 election, and it was a Terminator reference where it's the one where Cartman turns into the giant blob monster and then they kill Rosie
Right.
O'Donnell.
Right. Wow.
As a kid, I had no idea, and then I saw Akira and I got it, and I was traumatized.
Makes sense.
Um,
The first one I remember watching was the Loch Ness Monster one with Chef's parents
hmm,
with the succubus.
right, yeah, I remember that. That was good.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. I think it still is really. It's a classic.
I remember that one. I remember the one where fucking sends the substitute teacher that all the boys are think is hot to the moon into the sun.
Oh, yeah, that was wild.
It's,
How about the one where they send a whale to the moon?
oh yeah that totally worked out. I just always going back. I always remember Wendy's line though at the end of that episode where she's like, "Nobody fucks with Wendy Testenberger," and it's like, holy fuck.
For real.
She had a different voice actress at that point too. So whenever I go back and listen to the older episodes, she's got that really high pitched, like shrill voice, and I'm always
Mhm.
like, wow, it's so weird with like her current voice actress who's like a lot like more mature sounding.
Yeah. What's what's your favorite side character? Like not one of like the main group.
Um, so I count Butters as part of the main group, so I'll take him out of there. Um, Probably Jimmy. I love Jimmy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jimmy
Well,
and
that episode
Timmy.
he kept getting
Honest.
erections.
Oh yeah, the one where he keeps popping a boner. I love the one where him and Timmy start a gang called the Crips, and then they realize there actually is a gang called the Crips, and they join the Crips,
Yeah.
and then they end up uniting the Crips and the Bloods, which is
Yep.
hilarious.
Yeah, that was a great one. I love that one. God, that's just so
Uh,
many. Remember the golden PSP?
yep, yep, and then that's the one where Kenny goes to heaven because it's like a mission, right?
Some yeah, he dies because like the angels needed his help or whatever because he's really good at PSP.
But then he gets resurrected as a vegetable and he gets stuck in purgatory.
Yep.
And there's a whole like court case over whether to pull the plug on him or not, and it's just because Cartman wants the PSP.
I forget what episode it was, but wasn't there one where like somebody dies and they no, you know what? It was the I think it was the one when Michael Jackson died and
Oh, dead.
everyone was in purgatory waiting, and when they get there and they're like, "Oh, so it turns out the correct religion was Mormon. Mormon is the right religion."
I love that episode because that's dead celebrities because they make fun of like all the celebrities that died around that point, like which is
Billy
a little
Mays.
fucked up. Yep, Billy Mays here with Mighty Mended or whatever.
Chipotle way.
My favorite part is the subplot of Kyle being like, "So wait, you're telling me that you ate Chipotle and it caused you to shit blood and you kept eating it?" And Cartman's like, "Dude, Chipotle is that good."
It's really not.
No, it's really not. I never got the hype for it, but
I'd rather eat Moe's, honestly.
you know what's kind of depressing? We're getting
What's
to
that?
a point. We're getting to a point now where kids don't even know who Billy Mays is.
Yeah, my little brother cried when Billy Mays died.
So many commercials that we grew up with.
Yeah, it's wild.
Also, that episode also makes fun of ghost hunter shows and creepy child beauty pageants.
I love the Ghost Hunter show part because my wife loves those shows. So I always
Like
I always
it,
quote that episode to make fun of her when she's watching them.
I feel a strange substance running down my leg. It's
It's warm, it's moist.
oh, and there's another one. It's coming out the back of my pants. It's warm. It's hot. Ooh, and it smells. And then they all run out screaming, and Kyle's just like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, that's too funny.
That's a good one. And then the fucking beauty pageant where like Ike finally gets his body back, and he's like, "What the fuck am I wearing, Kyle? What the fuck?"
Yep. But I think it was while Kenny was like dead from like leukemia or whatever he had. When Cartman drank his ashes.
Oh yeah, and Kenny inherited his body for a little bit.
Yeah, he was just possessing Cartman for a while. That was a fun little joke.
That was a good one. Um, So speaking of celebrities who a lot of celebrities would make not really guest appearances, but they'd be parodied. One of the funniest ones to me is the fact that Subway Jared got parodied like 3 times, and each time was for completely different reasons.
Hmm.
Like the first time they made fun of him was because of the whole like he lost weight on Subway, which was totally bullshit.
Yeah,
And then years later, it was for much worse reasons.
yeah, no
It
kidding.
was like oh man, like it's really funny seeing that episode in hindsight and be like, wow, they did had no idea.
Remember when Corn was in an episode?
Yeah, and they voice themselves, which is still they're like a Scooby Doo parody.
Yeah, they're fucking Scooby Doo. They're like, all right, guys, we're gonna finish this up by singing a little song. And a one, and a two, and a.
Yeah, that one was great. Um, then there was the episode where they referenced the first episode of the series where they find out that Earth is actually just a TV series that aliens watch.
Mhm.
Like that always was funny to me.
Yeah, and they blackmailed them with pictures of them like sucking each other off.
You sucking their whatever the ear thing was.
The Jagons.
Yeah. Um, So we mentioned it earlier. We should probably talk about probably the most infamous yet famous episode of South Park, which was the Scientology episode, Trapped in the Closet.
Oh yeah.
That episode single handedly, I think, was the start of the take like Scientology being like actually like losing its power.
Yeah, it's also that episode is the reason why the actor who played Chef left because he was a Scientologist.
Supposedly, there's a lot of debate behind that now. So the episode essentially is like Stan joins Scientology, and they actually like reveal all of the inner deep secrets of Scientology. And my favorite way is whenever they explain these things, they just have a text on the screen that says, "This is what Scientologists actually believe."
Yeah.
And it's which apparently is true. Like that's legitimately the beliefs of Scientology because it's all,
Yep.
and they basically reveal that it's all just one giant scam.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, because wasn't the guy who founded Scientology like actually a science fiction writer?
yeah, he was a sci-fi writer, and he wrote this fantastical story and started a religion and basically just made a bunch of money and created a bunch of whacked out people.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's just a really popularized version of like people who take being a Jedi as a real religion.
Yeah, the
Like
thing
just
with sci
somehow it just took the world by storm and like fucking all of a sudden Tom Cruise and shit just joined up. Like what the hell?
the thing with Scientology is there's a lot of shady shit that goes on behind the scenes that we really don't know exactly what's going on.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of shady shit with every organized religion.
True. Well, that's actually part of the reason why, because I think Isaac Hayes' son actually revealed later on that he never actually quit the show. The Church of Scientology quit in his behalf
Oh,
because I guess he suffered from a stroke around the time, and he was like not in any physical shape to really do anything, and they basically just quit on his behalf.
it's pretty suspect.
They the Church of Scientology actually like sent out a probe to try and dig up as much dirt as they could on Matt Stone and Trey Parker, and they found nothing.
It's all right.
But I love that episode too because of the whole like Tom Cruise joke because they so apparently behind the scenes like it was revealed like I guess like Tom Cruise is one of those guys that like sues people if you like slander him.
Mhm.
So they couldn't explicitly accuse him of being gay. So they made the whole joke being like he's hiding
The
in the
fudge
closet.
packer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was at an actual factory packing actual fudge, so they
Oh yeah,
called him a fudge packer.
that was his second appearance like later on.
Yeah.
I just remember because he goes and hides in the closet and they're like, God damn it, Tom Cruise is in the closet again.
And then R.
Uh,
Kelly joins him later.
oh yeah, that was another thing that was like they didn't know yet.
Yep. Oh,
Uh,
jeez. Wild.
um. So speaking of Chef, do you want to talk about the episode Chef Returns where they kill him off brutally?
Yeah, after making him like a brainwashed pedophile.
That episode is so weird to watch now because of like all the AI shit. Like,
Hmm.
because the way they did it was they just used like old clips of Chef, so he sounds really fucking unnatural the entire episode.
Yeah, didn't they do the same thing with Stick of Truth?
Yeah, but it wasn't as like abrupt sounding. Like it sounds deliberately bad in Chef Returns just to kind of to play on the whole joke that he's not right.
Hmm.
Um yeah, the way they killed him off was brutal though.
Oh yeah, extremely.
Fell down the burning fell that collapsed on the burning bridge, started caught on fire, fell down the thing, hit all the rocks, got impaled by a tree, and then got brutally mauled by a mountain lion and a bear.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
And then turned into a Darth Vader XP that never gets followed up on.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, they ended it with that, and then it just never got brought up again. And then the next time we see him, he's a Nazi zombie,
Yeah, that was bizarre.
and he gets blown up again.
It's about right.
That's
Oh,
funny though how there's like an entire era of South Park after Chef left, where like, a lot of people don't even remember Chef.
yeah, I know. Like, yeah, I feel like a lot of like people getting into South Park nowadays just don't even, unless they go all the way back and watch the old episodes,
I mean,
just
because
don't even know the chef was a thing.
that was like season
That was
10, I want
fairly
to. I
early on.
think it was season 10 where they killed him off.
It might even
Um,
been earlier. I'm not sure.
it was around 10 or 9. I know that.
Hmm.
Um, there was also do you remember the episode Super Fun Time?
You have to remind me.
It's the one where they go to the old timey town where like the people won't break character.
Yeah, and then didn't they like one of them sneak off to go to like the planetarium or
So
something was going on with the planetarium?
Cartman and Butters sneak off to go to a super fun time, like Chuck E. Cheese, basically.
Right.
But then while they're there, a freaking group of people on a heist show up and they lock down the thing and they take all the kids hostage. And
Mhm.
then because they robbed a Burger King.
Yeah.
But the best part of the episode is where the kids are like trying to get them to like get help, but they won't break their damn character. And they're like, this is not the time for this. And then they start like one guy's about to reveal the secret to how to how to get out of the thing, and then like the freaking guy who's running the old timey town just shoots him, and he's like, what he meant to say was, we don't have fancy door locks in old timey town. And then the guy holding them hostage is like, you people are fucking insane.
It's too funny.
That's also the
That's like
episode
one of
where
those. Mhm.
I was gonna say that was also the episode where Cartman gets partnered up with Butters, and like Mr. Garrison's like, all right, Butters, you can't let go of Cartman's hand. and
Oh yeah.
and Butters will not let go of his hand until like the very end of the episode where like he's like dragging his like corpse onto the bus and he's like, Mr. Garrison, my partner is on the bus, and then he just passes out.
Oh god, that's always one of those things that I've always wanted to do. Is go to like one of those kind of old timey like Plymouth Plantation-y places and just dress as like a member of Starfleet.
See, people do that at like King Richard's Fair all the time.
Yeah, it'd be funny as hell.
My favorite part of that episode too is like they're going around the town and like they're talking all like old timey, and Stan's like, so normally I'd play along, but I'm here with my girlfriend, so I don't want to like embarrass her. And Wendy's just like, thanks, Stan.
Hmm. Oh man, you remember the anime episode they did
Yeah, I remember that because
with the ninja weapons?
Butters gets shot in the eye with a ninja star.
Yeah, they
I
dress
just,
him up as a dog to take him to the vet.
Mr. Carr was live today.
Tis the season.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, because like I love the cut because that episode has like the great like animation changes where like they switch from they'll switch from like the anime style to like the regular animation. The scene where Butters gets the ninja star in his eye, it just pauses on Professor Chaos, and then it immediately cuts to Butters in reality, and they're just screaming.
Yeah. If I could dress up like a dog, he'd run around going woof woof woof.
And then they're like, we're gonna have to put it down.
Yep. Oh god. Or God, there's so many good Butters episodes.
Another one that I love is do you remember The List?
Oh, um was it the one where it was like their height?
No. So it's the girls make a
Oh, the
list of
hottest guys.
hottest guys in school, and they put Kyle at the bottom, and
Mhm.
because it's all a conspiracy, and Kyle starts like this terrorist plot. He's gonna burn down the school.
Yeah. Because he's hanging out with all the loser kids.
Yeah, they're like, he's like, they go to talk to one of the kids, and they're like, have you seen Kyle? And he's like, he said he's gonna burn down the school.
Yeah. Put it to the ground.
Burn it to the ground. And then like fucking Bebe shows up with a gun, and she's gonna shoot Wendy over the shoes conspiracy.
Hmm.
And then it ends with Kenny getting shot because of course it does.
Yeah, that's true. Um, God, so many.
Do you remember
Let's hit.
Bastamelth?
Hmm?
Do you remember the episode Bastamelth?
I don't know.
So that's the one with it's there's it's basically making fun of WikiLeaks, where it's like the school has all this like website that's leaking all this
Yes,
personal information.
the
And
return of Lemmy Winks.
yep. And there's a point in my favorite in that episode is like they a kid like killed himself, and they were like, basically another kid does something, and they're like, Eric Cartman, if this kid kills himself, you're going down. And he's like, okay, fine. And then he makes the other girl shit herself, and they're like, she only broke her arm. She's not dead. And he's like, good. Well, everyone's not thinking of Pete Melman anymore. She's like, you weren't supposed to kill someone else, Cartman. And then after like they try to figure out a way out of it because now they're caught like poisoning all the kids with the pizzas with all the laxatives because they were trying to
Yeah.
make the entire school shit themselves.
Speaking
And they're
of,
like,
remember that brown note episode?
yeah, that was good. My favorite line from that episode though is like they're like, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna have to throw Eric Cartman under the bus. They're like, how? What? No, we throw him under the bus. And then at the end of the episode, right as the kids are on the bus chasing after WikiLeaks, they're all like, "Oh my God, someone ran over Eric Cartman. This is awful."
Oh
so
man.
many, so many good episodes.
Yeah, it's like we could literally go on all day. Like
Oh,
there's
and then
so
it
many.
ends. The episode ends with like Mr. Mackey walking through the hallway, and he's like, Eric, we're sorry about throwing you under the bus. We're happy you've chosen to forgive us. He's like, that's okay. And he's like, thank you for the muffins you made us too. And then as he's walking, he's like, oh, children, I don't feel so. And then he's like, it's bad, children. He's just like rocket shitting across the hallway.
Yeah.
And Cartman's like, I put a lot of horsey sauce in that one.
Remember the episode with it was like what the fuck was it? When they decide that like football is too dangerous and they make up the new sport.
Oh, Sarcastaball.
Sarcastaball. That's the one. And then fucking Butters is like bottling up his
Oh yeah, Butter's special creamy goo.
yeah, fucking Tom Brady's drinking it.
That was the second time they made fun of, or no, the third time they made fun of Tom Brady.
Oh, it's always fun.
Because there was also the episode where Ike goes through puberty, and then we find out at the end that he accidentally had he was taking male growth hormones, and his baby medication. They're like, "What happened to that?" And it shows Tom Brady on the field just like shitting himself. And they're like, "Wow, Tom's just really off his game today." There was also the episode where they had Cartman teach the school of the class of bad kids, and the whole time he's like, "How can I reach these kids?" And he teaches them.
That was based off of some movie. I forget what the fuck. I know they showed it to us in school multiple times, and I can never remember what it's called.
The Freedom Riders, maybe.
I don't know.
I can't
remember it was I just remember it was the whole thing with like the inner city teacher or whatever.
So
like,
there is two movies that have this same plot, and I always mix the two of them up. But
I think that was just a popular thing from the time. Like there's a lot of those movies. There's just only a couple that really took off.
I just love how he's like, we have to teach you how to cheat. And he's like, this is Bill Belichick. And it's like, oh my God. Which is great because in South Park, the Fractured Butthole, there's a lot of like puzzles where you have to solve like passcodes. And if you know the passcode in advance and you try to enter it in before you learn it, Cartman will pop up on screen in the corner dressed up as Bill Belichick, and he'd be like, "Who do you think you are, Tom Brady? Solve the puzzle first," and then he'll just disappear. And it's like, what?
That's too funny. That's like when you go to start a new game of Stick of Truth. They're like, "Oh, well, what is your name, traveler?" And you type in whatever name you want, and they say, "You have selected the name douchebag."
In a Fractured Butthole, it has my favorite one where the difficulty select is your skin tone, and the lighter skin is easy mode, and the darker skin is hard mode. And when you're scrolling through it, Cartman just goes, "Don't worry, this doesn't affect combat, just every other aspect of your life." like that's fucked up, but really funny.
Jesus.
So they actually did a retcon recently, which I thought was really funny, where they revealed that Token's name is actually Tolkien, like J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
And they made the joke where like, if you've been pronouncing it Token this entire time, you're a part of the problem. And they
I have to
actually
go.
went back on their website and changed every single mention of Token to Tolkien and just to like mess with people.
That's awesome. I would have to go back and like listen to early episodes just to see like if they actually are trying to pronounce it that way or if it's always been. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's always been Token, but
It always was, but they made that joke reveal was really funny.
yeah, for sure. Remember
Um,
it was the COVID special, I think, when they were in the school and the fucking cops were the teachers and they
yeah,
shot Token and
yeah,
they fucking they shot Token and they were like, "Oh, it's a COVID related injury."
yeah, that was so fucked up.
It's like, yeah, well, we wouldn't have been in the school if it wasn't for COVID. Therefore, it's a COVID related injury.
Yeah, so dark.
Yeah.
Um, Another
Well,
one too is I was thinking of like do you remember the episode, one of the most famous episodes is Cartman and Jimmy write the famous fish sticks joke.
oh yeah, that was great.
And
That's the
that's the one they make fun of Kanye.
yeah. I was getting confused with there was a follow up episode,
The
the
Hobbit,
Hobbit one. Yeah.
where all the girls are photoshopping.
Yep.
My favorite part is in real life, Kanye still doesn't get the fish stick joke.
I believe it. I
Like
believe it.
there's interviews of him like where they ask him about it. This is before he went psychotic like earlier that like last year, but
Mhm.
they'll interview him about it and he still doesn't get it. Like, and that's the funniest part about it.
I believe it.
The Hobbit was funny though, because there's a point where he's like defending Kim Kardashian because they refer to her as a hobbit, and he's like,
Yep.
she is a short, like I forget what he says, like short, like mystical creature, and then he calls her on the phone. He's like, "Bitch, are you a hobbit? Because you'll
Bitch,
get to
how are
tell
you
me."
the Hobbit again? How are you the Hobbit again?
Yeah, I love that shit.
It's just I love that episode. Oh, we didn't even talk about the fucking Black Friday trilogy.
That I love that trilogy just because they predict. Well, first you got uh, who's the writer of the
George
the
R. R.
writer?
Martin.
Yeah, George R. R. Martin doing his like dick humor.
Yep.
Because
The Wiener
Butters is like,
song.
Butters is like, it's just dicks everywhere.
You'd be surprised like how often me and like my buddies would just be hanging out and one of us would just go on wiener, wiener, wiener. And we'd all just you'd be surprised how many times we just do that in public over the years.
Also, Randy becoming a mall security guard just to sneak in and like he completely is like ends up just running the thing, and that was like one of the big Randy like becoming the main character episodes.
Yeah, for sure. And with the like leader of the security guy like dies and he like peels off his fucked up eye and puts it on
Yeah.
Randy's face.
Also, they famously predicted wrongly that the Xbox One would beat the PS4.
Yeah, PlayStation's kind of been kicking Xbox's ass since then.
Yeah, like that was a famous time they got it wrong.
Hmm.
Um,
They
trying to
usually
think.
get it right though. They predicted a lot of stuff.
That is true.
Like
I'm trying.
I remember remember the Britney Spears episode
Oh yeah, that episode's so fucking dark now.
and how it ends with like a picture of Miley Cyrus and they're like the next one or whatever, and it's just like, yeah, they
That
fucking nailed it. They nailed
that
it.
ep- that episode also ends with like one of the darkest like endings to an episode that not a lot of people got the reference they were going for,
Hmm.
where they stone her to death, and I'm like, it's a reference to the lottery.
Yeah,
It's like that's a fucking dark story to reference, but it's South Park, so it makes sense.
you know, South Park's no stranger to that shit.
Oh, do you remember the episode where Cartman gets AIDS and he gives Kyle AIDS
Yep. And
and there's
they go find
Magic
what's it?
Johnson.
Yeah, Magic Johnson.
And he's like, "How have how has he lived so long?" And they go to his. Can we look at your bedroom? And it's just full of his like cash everywhere. And he's like, "Oh, I don't trust banks."
$200,000 injected directly into the bloodstream is the cure for AIDS.
Yeah, my favorite though is like they get the guy goes to fucking Kenya or whatever, and he's like, Everybody, guess what? They've cured AIDS. You just have to inject yourself with all your cash. Goodbye now. And he just drives off, and all the Kenyans just look at him like, what the fuck?
Oh god.
Oh man. I love
Yeah,
the whole joke though, where it's like, oh yeah, AIDS. That's such a '90s virus. Everyone cares about cancer now, and it's like that's fucked up.
yeah. It was like, was it the AIDS thing when they were like, they did the episode on it, and at the end they were like, "Oh my god, it's been 28.4 years. AIDS is funny. It's finally funny."
Yeah. There was also the episode where they finally were able to say shit. So then
Yep.
they just made the shit counter to see how many times they could get away with it.
Yep.
That was good.
Oh man, this it's just so many.
Oh, do you
So
remember the episode where Cartman becomes the school announcer?
vaguely.
He becomes the morning announcement guy because the other guy got murdered.
Mm.
um, and he basically goes on a slander campaign against Wendy, basically claiming that she kills the Smurfs.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they're all, and she's like,
It was like an Avatar reference, wasn't it?
yeah, it was a reference to Avatar, and I remember because he's like he does his whole like film, he's like dance with Smurfs, and he's caught he for the Wendy scenes, he's dressed up as her in a tractor, and he's like, fuck you, Smurfs, suck my
Mm.
fat tits. And then the episode
Oh,
ends where Wendy like basically steals his idea, and he's like, "You can't just steal Dances with Smurfs." She's like, "I already did. Sold it to James Cameron. The movie's already out." And he just runs out. It's a movie theater for Avatar. And he's like, "Fuck you, James Cameron."
God. Remember the Russell Crowe episode?
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was too good.
Oh man, it's just funny how there's like millions of episodes and they're all that funny.
Mm-hmm. It's there's definitely a lot more hits than misses. I'll say that much. Like, and
So
even the ones that are like a miss for South Park is still funny. It's just not like rolling on the floor
so
funny.
I need your take on. There's one episode of South Park that's considered the most like divisive episode of the series, and that's the I should have never gone ziplining episode.
I know I've seen it.
So it's
I
the
just
one
can't
where
remember any
like
specifics.
it's the one where they go on a so it's a parody of the entire episode is a parody of a show that like not a lot of people remember called like I Shouldn't Be Alive.
Hmm.
Um but basically the whole joke is that they're trying to find something fun to do, so they go ziplining, and the whole joke is how boring as fuck ziplining is.
Yeah.
That's the one that ends with the live action parrot like scene that everyone's like, "What the fuck is this?"
Right. Yeah,
Um,
that was weird.
I just remember that episode because like the whole time they're like talking about the kids like going through like peril of like the boring like ziplining thing, and like the whole time it's like Cartman's like eating like all this disgusting food, and they're like, inside Cartman's stomach is this disgusting bowel that is about to blow, and Cartman just farts, and they're like, Kyle's like, ew, dude, did you just shit your pants? He's like, what? No, but he's also drinking he's drinking Double Dew, which is like Mountain Dew with twice the sugar. And then later in the episode, he's drinking Diet Double Dew, which is just regular Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Just a great joke.
Yeah.
Did
No,
you see
I vaguely remember that one, but like it doesn't really stick out in my mind very much.
that episode is like either ever people love it or they absolutely hate it.
I don't know. I apparently didn't make much of an impression on me.
I think it's entertaining when I watch it, but it's not an episode I watch regularly. Um, do you remember the episode where they canceled Mr. Hanky?
Oh yeah,
The
that
problem
was wild.
it was making fun of that whole the problem with Apu thing where they canceled Apu for no reason.
Hmm.
So instead, they make a whole episode making excuse me, making fun of cancel culture, and they cancel Mr. Hanky for being for sending out awful tweets.
Yeah. Remember? Oh shit! I keep. Oh, remember the Guitar Hero episode?
Oh yeah, we're standing, and Kyle become like this amazing Guitar Hero duo, and then they have a falling out over it.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I just need a game to relax. I just want to kind of let go and forget about everything. And say, hey, You ever hear of Heroin Hero?
Jeez, yep.
You chase the dragon, but you never catch it.
That was a good episode.
Yep.
Um,
Randy's
I
trying to teach them how to play actual guitar, and they're just not interested.
yeah. Well, that reminds me of the episode too, where like they're starting the band and like they're like, Token, you play bass. He's like, why do I always have to play bass? You racist? And he's like, it's because obviously Token, black people do just play bass naturally. And then Token's just like, fine. He just starts playing and he just puts out this random bass line. He just looks horrified as he's doing it.
Shit, he was right.
I was
That
like,
was the Christian rock band episode, right?
yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it was when Cartman was going through his little arc of trying to make $1 million so he could buy an amusement park.
Yeah, yep, I remember that. What was another good one?
Imagination Land.
Imagine Late Nation Land is that episode went deeper than it should have.
Oh, for sure. That one was wild.
That was just like they wanted to have fun with all their crazy animation.
They wanted to reference a bunch of other random shit. Like, oh no, I'm getting it confused with another one. But I mean that one did it too. Yeah, that one was crazy.
There was also the episode. When I'm thinking of episodes that didn't age well, like one for me is always the one with Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that one's hard
I,
to watch.
anytime I see that episode, I'm like, I can't watch that. Isn't that an election episode too?
Uh, if it was, it wasn't like the big one from a few years ago.
Well, I know they skipped the 2020 election for obvious reasons.
They didn't skip it. They made a whole season about it. It was just Mr. Garrison instead of Trump.
Well, no, that was 2016.
Oh, right.
They skipped the second. They skipped 2020 because that was season 20, and season 20 is arguably like the worst season of South Park in a while, just because they went way too hard into it.
I don't know. I liked season 20. I thought it was good.
I don't know. I thought it was a little bit. It followed a little bit too closely to current events.
Is that the one with the trolls?
Yeah, there was the trolls. That and the fact that they had to rewrite the end of the season on a whim because they didn't think Trump was going to win.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they didn't just do the same thing that they did with the 2008 election, where they just wrote two different endings to the.
Because they were so sure with this one.
Did they ever release the version of that episode where John McCain wins?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't even know if it was fully animated or not.
I don't know, because I always thought that they made both episodes and then they just released whatever one for whoever won.
Maybe. I don't think it's ever been released.
Wonder if that'll ever come out.
I don't know. I know for season 20 though, I think one of my problems with that season is like there was just so many things going on in the world that I just hated at that point, that like it was like a little bit too close to home for me during that one.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's kind of always been South Park's thing.
Yeah,
it's just
maybe
that we were always looking at it like looking back, so it was never like a big deal. But once we get to like current events and like there's a bunch of serious shit going on, it's like yeah, we get that. I mean, it's believe it or not, South Park has always been a very political show.
well, yeah, it always has.
Like, it's just one of those things that most people think, oh, South Park is just a bunch of shit and dick jokes, but it's honestly extremely political in a lot of ways.
To me, I think my thing with South Park that I've always liked is the fact that it's always kind of been, they make fun of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they were just like going a little bit too hard one way that season.
That's fair.
That it was like also like the gender war was a thing at the time. It's just a whole bunch of stuff that I really wasn't a big fan of in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of fall off of South Park after that, which is weird because I liked that season. I don't know, for whatever reason after that, I just kind of fell off.
Yeah, I did too for a bit because season 21 I didn't really enjoy either. That was the whole one with fucking the Cartman Heidi thing, where he basically just destroys her.
Yeah, and he like starts off like trying to be like better because he doesn't want to like scare her away.
Yeah, then
he ends up becoming worse because of it.
Yeah, and then he basically turns her into another him.
Hmm.
Yeah, that whole season's fucked up. Um,
Yeah,
and then after that was the start of the Tegrity, the Tegrity arc.
Integrity Farms.
Yeah,
I love the Integrity Farm stuff.
yeah, that's grown on me quite a bit, especially because it led directly into like. Have you seen the post-COVID specials yet?
The like feature ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw those a bit ago.
yeah, I really like those.
Yeah, they're really funny. Um,
I love the fact that Stan's girlfriend and that is just his Alexa.
yeah, that was great. I love Cartman and that how he just like did a complete 180 and is like actually a decent guy now.
Yeah,
It
and
has like a nice loving family. Like
but he's still kind of a prick at the same time, though,
he
because
is, but like I don't know. I feel like until his family is kind of like put it like honestly, like I feel like that's like if everything went exactly right, that's like the best version of Cartman that we
well,
could possibly get.
the irony behind that is the whole fact that because you know that the ironic joke behind that is the fact that like in that world everybody's life was shit. So in the world where everybody's life goes to shit, Cartman has a great life.
Mhm.
But then like when they fix the timeline and everyone's life is good, Cartman has like the worst life.
Yeah, then he's like a homeless dude living in a box.
I think someone said it best that like the reason why Cartman was so good in in that timeline is because he was separated from the rest of them because they bring out the worst in him.
Makes sense. Well, there's been a lot of episodes like that where like all the ones that you consider to be like kind of the good ones, like you kind of see them from a different lens and you realize like wow, they're actually making like everyone's life worse.
Yeah. Well, early on in like the series, like the kids like Stan and Kyle were kind of assholes. Like they would always just like provoke start trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man. Uh
No. Hmm?
I kind of wished like for the upcoming specials they would have done more with like the future timeline.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll touch on it every now and or they'll do something because they've played around with like future stuff before.
Hmm.
Never like too seriously. I think that was definitely the biggest occasion of that. But remember the episode where future Stan shows up because he touched the joint?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a business where parents can like hire actors to like play adult versions of their kids. They're like, oh, everything was so awful because I smoked that joint and then I became a drug addict and all this stuff. Like
Yeah, that was good.
that was a wild one.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of another good one.
I mean, the Lord of the Rings one was one of my favorites.
That was good too.
With that backdoor sluts 9.
Yeah. Uh, uh, stupid spoiled whore video playset. That was another
Yep,
good one.
that was good. Um,
Mr. Slave does something unspeakable to Paris Hilton in that episode.
yeah, that's still one of those ones that like see every now and then you get a South Park episode where your jaw literally hits the floor by the end of it. That was
Uh,
definitely one of them.
to me, one of the episodes that's unwatchable is Mr. Garrison's fancy new vagina
Yeah, that
because the
was
that episode starts with footage of actual transgender surgery, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah,
no, I don't
that's
need to
always
see
rough.
that. Like
Nope,
nothing against it to anybody in that space, but I don't need to
don't need
see
to
it.
see it. Don't need to see it.
Yeah, yeah, that was a
God.
that episode is I'm sorry. I just got distracted. My Discord thing popped up and it said Barack Obama is typing.
Didn't know
There's
he's a fan.
there's there's some there's some weird shit going on in the Superpod Saga server right now. Um, I'm gonna move my phone so I don't get distracted by whatever's happening there. Um,
Jesus.
speaking of Obama, though, the first election special where they find out the entire thing is a heist.
Mhm.
That
Yeah,
was
they
that
did
was a
like a
funny,
heist episode.
yeah, that was a funny joke. Also, the fact that Mickey Mouse is a fucking like terrorist in like the South Park
Oh, the
universe.
Jonas Brothers episode.
That one's great. Also, like when like right after Disney got Star Wars, he's like, "This shit's all mine now."
Hmm. You were all ants, and I am your destroyer.
I'm amazed they get away with that.
I'm surprised Disney didn't sue their asses after that.
Well, technically, it's parody, and parody's protectable by fair use laws. But and South Park probably
Yeah,
has good lawyers.
with the Cartoon Wars two-parter.
That was good.
That was, yeah. I love when he meets fucking Bart Simpson. Cartman
Yeah,
does, and they're like, "Oh, what's the worst thing you ever done?" It's like, stole the head of a statue once or whatever. Hey, Cartman's like, "Yeah, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool." I once I once fed a kid's parents to fed a kid's parents to this kid I didn't like.
my favorite is the episode where Cartman hates Family Guy.
I think that was that one.
Maybe that's what it was because I remember The Simpsons actually sent them a letter thanking them for it. There's
Awesome.
also the episode where uh, Butters is being Professor Chaos, and the entire episode he keeps coming up with all these plans, and his little sidekicks always like Simpsons did it.
Yep. Yep.
That's a good one. Oh boy.
God.
Oh, do you remember the P episode
The
where they go to the water park and it gets flooded with?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's some real
I think they brought him back recently, didn't they?
they did for the streaming wars.
Yeah, yeah.
He got
That
killed
was
off.
wild.
He got killed off
Yeah.
brutally.
Everyone
Um,
forget about the P.
my favorite part of that episode is how real that is, though. Like where Butter's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And Kyle's like, okay, go ahead. And he just pees in the pool. They're like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, well, you said go ahead.
Yeah.
And Kyle's like, that's gross. I'm not getting in the pool. And he's like, Kyle, everyone pees in the pool. And he's like, that's fucking disgusting.
Yep.
And he's like, wait, so you're saying like when you're taking a shower and you have to pee, you don't get out? And they're all just like, no. He's like, dude. But then, then the entire park, they're like, we just did the pH tests. It's mostly P and no H. Um, it's like you have to equalize with the P, Kyle. You must drink the P. It's like drink the
Drink.
P, Kyle.
Oh god.
And then
And
at
then
the
it
end,
ended
he's
up
like,
not even being necessary.
yeah, because Randy comes in with the rescue because they're like, we've made an antidote. We've only tested it on monkeys, but we've noticed that P, when it comes into contact with people, makes them very angry, and they just start pissing on these monkeys.
Yeah, super mad.
And then they finally make a quote unquote antidote, and they're like, let's test it on Randy. And he starts getting annoyed, and like they're like, oh no, we have to shoot him. He's like, no, I'm fine. But there's
But
also
the
like the best is when like Sharon calls too, and she's like, Randy, what do you mean it's P? She's like, it's all P. They're all trapped, Sharon. The P.
jeez. That reminds me of the homeless episode.
Yeah, it's another good one.
Where they're like, "Oh God, I've lost my job. My house has been foreclosed. I'm homeless. I just need some change."
Yeah.
They just shoot him.
Do you remember the episode with when Cartman wants to be a pirate, so they all go to Somalia,
Yes,
and
that
then
was
they
good.
become Somali pirates?
I think that was around like when that episode came out was around the time I like actually started watching South Park.
Yeah, that was a good season. That one in particular.
Yeah, I think it was like right around like season 13, season 14 when I like actually started seeking out South Park and watching it. Back before streaming, when you if you wanted to watch specific episodes, you either had to go to a sketchy third party site or go to Comedy Central and watch it there because you used to be able to watch it there.
Well, I mean, Comedy Central still puts on like South Park marathons all the time.
Well, I meant like this is the Comedy Central website.
Oh yeah, they used to have like every South Park episode on their website at one point.
Yeah.
What's another great episode? Oh, do you remember the episode with overlogging where like they all lose the internet and they end up traveling to find more internet,
Yes.
and then they
Um,
solved they solved the internet problem by unplugging it and plugging it back in.
yep. And it was another one, the Margaritaville.
Oh yeah, where like South Park goes in serious debt. Meanwhile, Stan's on a journey to get rid of the damn Margaritaville thing.
Yep. And like they do like a weird like parallel between Kyle and Jesus.
Yeah, Kyle pays off everyone's debt.
Yep. God.
And the episode ends with Stan's like can't get rid of the Margaritaville, so he just fucking smashes it on the ground. He's like, "Fuck this."
Hmm. I don't know.
That
I
was
just
a good
remembered
one.
in the Stick of Truth, the whole like little side quest you have to do when you try to find like the secret ingredient for tweak coffee, and it's just cocaine.
Yep, which explains a lot.
Yep,
Oh,
for sure.
speaking of Tweak, later episode, but Tweak X Craig.
Oh yeah, with the
Oh, the
the
Yowie art.
Yowie boys who love you.
My favorite part too is the fact that like they actually got a bunch of like artists to draw like Yowie art for the episode.
I know, it's too funny. And then they like are actually like a canon couple from that point onward.
Oh yeah, they're still together in the future too.
Yep.
What's funny is there's a side quest in Fractured Butthole where Craig's dad is like, "I need you to go and find me Yowie art," and like you just have to find Yowie art throughout the entire game.
You remember the when Butters got sent to pray away the gay camp?
Oh yeah, because Cartman sucks. That's the episode where
Yeah.
Cartman takes the picture with Butter's dick in his mouth, and they're all like, they're like, "Cartman, that makes you gay." It's like, and
I
he's
thought that
like,
made
"No."
Butters gay.
It's like, "No." And so then he tries to stick his dick in Butter's mouth, and then his dad walks. He's like, "Butters, so what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, hi, Dad."
He's
And the whole time
gonna
he
give me a
does,
surprise.
yep. And then the whole time he doesn't get like what the hell's going on. Like he's just at the camp.
He's like, yes, I'm very confused.
Oh, do you remember the biker episode where all the bikers are coming through South Park and the kids all like start calling them fags?
Yep. I
And
actually I do the whenever like I'm outside and like I see a bunch of bikers or something go by or someone like like how we hear the car all the time on the podcast and everything. Like if I'm outside, I'll just start doing that at people.
see, my favorite is when they try to be even more annoying and they're all like have like sirens and stuff. And there's the one guy with the thing. It's like chicken spears, chicken spears. It's just like what? And then the whole time it's like they start the whole like revolution to change the meaning of fag.
Mm.
It's like, hi, little boy, can you take these two pictures and point to which one is the faggot? And it's a picture of a very camp man and then a biker, and they just all point at the bikers.
Mm.
And then Butters wants to, and then Butters is like, well, I'm not a fag yet, but I am bike curious.
Oh jeez. It's too funny. Have you ever gotten in trouble? Like not in trouble, but like uh I don't know, like said the wrong thing at the wrong time because you were quoting South Park?
Um, no, I'm usually pretty careful about that. Like, there's certain episodes I try not to talk about. I mean, I think when people know you're talking South Park, the context is usually there. Like,
True.
one of the most famous episodes of South Park, speaking of that, is the one where Randy says the N word.
Yeah, that was great. That's still one of my favorite episodes.
Well, it's just such an effective episode because it really kind of made a lot of sense in the long run.
Say token, I finally get it. I don't get it. Now you
Yeah.
get it, Kyle. Now you get it, Stan.
Well, my favorite too is the B plot of that episode is like Cartman fighting a midget, which I guess in the commentary for the episode is literally they just wanted Cartman to fight a midget, so they just had stuck it there for no reason.
That's like honestly, like even putting the whole like Wheel of Fortune stuff aside, like for that whole bit alone, that's like one of my favorite episodes.
Well, especially when like Michael Richards shows up and it's like Michael Richards. Because that was right
Um,
after his whole freaking meltdown on stage.
yeah. Um, remember the Vamp Kid episode
I love any episode with the goth kids, just in general.
when Butters thinks he's a vampire?
Yeah, and he's like, so hungry, but I can't drink blood. Blood is gross. And they're like, he's ungroundable.
And then what was it? The Hot Topic was the source of their power, so
Yeah,
they burned it down.
they're like a fucking hot topic, of course. They
Mm.
just burn it to the ground. My favorite is like when they're like in like the vamp kid meeting and the guy, the adult in the Twilight shirt, it's like, wait, you're telling me one of us here is not a vamp kid? well, which one of you sons of bitches is lying? It's like this shit. It's like shit in context that just doesn't make any sense, but only when you're watching South Park does it make sense.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those shows that it just never gets old.
No, it really doesn't. And the fact that it's still going, like they just made an Ozempic episode that makes fun of Ozempic.
There's so much of it. Actually, I think I just saw recently that Walmart is, well, I don't know if it's just Walmart, but I saw it at Walmart. They are selling like 10 season bundles of
So
South Park.
you can get I know they have seasons. So there are these big box sets that have seasons 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, 16 through 20, and then they just released 21 through 25.
Yeah. Well, at Walmart at least they had bundled the bundles, I guess, because
Oh,
they
okay.
bundled the 1 through 5 and the 6 through 10 into one, and they're just selling that as one big thing.
Hmm.
And they did the same thing with the following 10 seasons. It's like we're gonna have to get that at some point because that South Park is one of those shows I would already own on DVD if like some of them weren't so expensive to get.
Yeah, those bundles are pretty convenient. I think you can get them all online for pretty cheap now.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look into that for sure.
Yeah. And then like all the new seasons are all super cheap because they're only like 6 episodes. So
Yeah, and usually like new seasons of stuff, with the exception of anime, new seasons of shows tend to be like decent if you're just getting the one.
yeah, well, anime is just expensive in general.
Yeah,
But
for some reason.
the weeb tax.
Yeah, you are a nerd. You must pay extra.
Pretty much. Um any other episodes in particular or
I know that there are others. It's just none that are coming to mind at this very moment.
yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean there's probably more. I'm just not thinking of it right now.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, there's always more. That's the thing with South Park. There's always more. Um, I'm sure we could do another episode at some point in the future.
Yeah, going over or maybe talking about the games at some point.
That's true. That's
'Cause
true.
there's a lot with the games as well.
Yeah, even if we just do one on like an episode for each game. And did the new one come out yet, or is it still?
It's out. I have not heard great things about it though.
It's a bummer. Well, when I
Yeah.
heard that they were changing up the style and weren't making it like an RPG like the other ones, like that automatically kind of made me feel like
Yeah, and
iffy about
apparently
it.
you can finish it like super fast. Like it's not a very long game.
Well, I mean, a game doesn't have to be long for it to be good, but like the gameplay has to be there. Like if it's not going to have that kind of RPG element that the other two games had, then it just needs to be a good game. Like it has to have engaging gameplay and like obviously if it's a South Park game, like I don't care if the story is good, but it needs to be funny. Like that's first and foremost.
From everything I've heard from people, like they say it's fine, but it's just not very engaging.
Hmm. Oh, I might pick it up at some point just to, and especially if it's a short game that's actually good for me with my limited gaming time. I'd actually be able to beat it in a reasonable amount of time.
I'm waiting for it to go on sale.
Yeah, I'm not paying full price.
No. I mean, it's not even a full price game. It's like a half price game, but I still don't want to pay that much.
I didn't pay full price for either of the other ones. If I'm not going to pay full price for the good
True.
ones, I'm not going to pay full price for the fucking okay one.
I think the only one I paid full price for was the my launch copy of Fractured Butthole.
Hmm. Yeah.
Although I've bought Fractured Butthole 3 times, but that's besides the point.
Oh, we didn't talk about the movie. Maybe we'll just make that a whole episode on its own.
Oh, bigger, longer uncut.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I'd
It's
have to
been a while since
rewatch
I've
it.
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It'd be better to push that one off for another one.
yeah, maybe. Talk about that. Maybe we can deep dive into some of the specials in particular too.
Yeah, and some of like the multi-part ones, like the Black Friday and Imagination Land and all that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess to wrap this up though, this was basically just a general South Park talk, just to reminisce. But Yeah, once again, guys, though, thanks for joining us on Geek Addicts. You can find Geek Addicts on all the major podcasting platforms. You can also find the podcast on YouTube with video versions, and you can find all of our links at linktree/the Barber Who Games. And if you'd like, you can join the GNC Podcast Network Discord server to find all things GNC, 3DO Experience, Geek Addicts, talk gaming, anime, or just general nonsense. And with that, everybody, we'll see you all later.
Have a good one.